And now to the State of the Union. President Obama once again insisting he will use his executive powers, but this time the president speaking directly to the lawmakers who he wants to bypass, and yet Democrats not seeming to mind. Here's Rush Limbaugh.
He basically told them, I'm going to screw you if I have to. If you get in my way of what I want to do when I pretend to be dictator, screw you. And they stood up, the Democrat side, and applauded.
Our political panel, The Hill's A.B. Stoddard, ABC News political director Rick Klein, and the Washington Examiner's Susan Ferriccio. Rick, the Democrats don't seem to be upset that the president uses his pen and uses executive orders.
It's where you stand depends on where you sit sometimes. And I think for Democrats, if the agenda is moving in the direction they want, they're going to applaud this. I had a vision last night imagining how Senator Obama would respond to a similar claim by President Bush when he was in the Senate. It's a much different mindset that you have suddenly. However, I'll note this. There are a number of red state Democrats up for re-election who had lukewarm at best things to say about that speech last night. They realize the president is polarizing. They realize a lot of what he was saying last night in terms of unilateral action has the potential to give them some kind of a backlash in their own states. They're not going to want him campaigning with them, and they're going to have to be worried about how exactly the pen and the phone get utilized by the president.
Susan, what do you think about last night?
I don't think Democrats like this. They are covering for him, but the ones I talked to, I can tell by the expressions on their faces, they felt, well, he had no other choice because, Congress is gridlocked. This, to me, is about a president who has long been unwilling or unable to really get his hands dirty working with Congress. You have to be able to get into negotiating with Congress to move your agenda forward. He has actually isolated himself from Democrats and Republicans by not wanting to work with Congress and by doing things behind their back and doing these sort of blindsiding moves on big negotiations. So he's left with his pen and his phone, and he's sort of isolated himself in the White House. So this isn't just about Republicans and Democrats not getting along and blocking the president's agenda. It's about the way the president tries to legislate or not tries to legislate.
A.B., do the Democrats as a whole, do they admire him and think he's doing a great job, or is there something simmering beneath it because he doesn't seem to reach out much to them?
Well, that is a totally separate issue from last night. There's terrible levels of resentment building up over these 5 years about the fact that the administration tunes out their concerns and their ideas and their requests. One senator actually described it to me this week as horrendous. Democratic senator, the reception that they get from the administration. That aside, I disagree with both of you. I think last night was an indication that the president is so relieved Congress is working together for the first time in years. They actually earnestly are working on immigration reform. Both parties in both chambers at the same time are working on budgets. They just passed a farm bill. They're not going to fight about the debt ceiling. And he knows it's bad politics for the Democrats for him to pick a huge fight right now with executive action. And it's bad politics if he loses the Senate and has all Republican control of Congress in his last 2 years of his presidency. I actually thought he took a few shots last night. He mentioned something about a minimum wage increase for federal workers. I think it's all talk. And I know he's planning 12 actions this year. I think he's taken big measures in the past. I don't think he's going to do it again.
All right, panel. Representative Michael Grimm is apologizing today. Last night, after the State of the Union, the congressman was caught on camera not doing the good thing. He was threatening a reporter.
Let me be clear to you. You have to do that to me again. I'll tell you this.
I wanted to ask you. Why? It's a valid question.
No. You're not man. You're not man.
Rick, what about that?
Look, I've never been threatened like that by a member of Congress, and I don't know quite how I would react. I think the reporter handled it pretty well. Congressman Grimm has apologized. Clearly, that was well beyond the human decency for an elected official or anyone else to be
especially when there's a camera.
Well, you have to know, look, members of Congress get tough questions a lot, and you have to know how to no comment something or just walk away quietly. To go after the threats, that's schoolyard stuff. I mean, that has no place here. Congressman Grimm realized it, and obviously there's been a backlash against him that I think is right. He deserves the criticism he's getting.
A.V.?
As a native New Yorker, I understand that sometimes my brothers and sisters feel misunderstood, but there's no fuzzy line here. He actually said today he was doing the reporter a favor, which he wasn't, and he expected professionalism. And you can see him in this tape calling him a boy and threatening to basically kill him by throwing him over a balcony. And he's going to deserve what he gets, and it'll go on for a while.
I thought it was chilling what he said, and at first I thought this is going to hurt him politically, but I was talking to our Fox's James Rosen, who lives in his district, and said this is going to help him, that they're going to love his toughness. Let's face it, the New York press is different than the Washington, D.C. press. There's a different interaction, and that's what we
violence?
saw.
They like violence by their representatives?
Well, he's a former FBI.
Oh, yeah, he was undercover, actually, for the FBI.
So you got to put it all in context.
Yeah, the problem is, though, that it's caught on tape.
It is,
yeah,
it doesn't sound good.
Is he in trouble, Rick? I mean, on the underlying investigation?
Look, the national press is now focusing on the underlying investigation for the first time. That's the irony here, is that his no comment on that has got everyone to focus on the fact that there are serious improprieties with his top fundraisers. And this has been kind of a low boil of an investigation for a long time. And I think it's now going to be elevated and certainly political fodder.
Nobody even paid attention to before. I mean,
but that's a frustration among Republicans, either when the party picks a bad candidate out of the primary or something like this happens where it's a giveaway seat to the Democrat. And that's
just a giveaway seat now?
Well, I don't know what it'll look like in 6 months. I mean, he's going to be more closely watched, as Rick said.
What a mess. Anyway, Panda, always nice to see you. Straight ahead, new